Welcome back to the Money and Wealth Show. Our special guest this week from addictedtoprofits.net, market analyst Dave Skarica. And Dave, let's talk about markets. And I know this is something you've written about in your newsletters to your subscribers around the world. Markets. How can you tell when a market has topped?
Well, this is interesting because we were planning on talking about this in this show just, within the last, say, day or two. But I actually wrote a whole issue about this last November because what happened is I got very bullish at the bottom of the market back in the spring or March. And what happened is when it rallied 50, 60% off its low, everyone was worried. They're going to crash again. We're going to crash again because we had come off so high. And I said, wait, let's calm down here. And what I did is I showed technical and psychological indicators of what you want to see when a market tops. Like, for example, I'll give you one example of a technical indicator, which tells me that even if we're going to turn lower, we really have time here before the selling were to get out of control. There's something called the 150-day moving average, which is the average price of a stock over its last 150 days.
Okay.
And that essentially gives you the longer-term trend of the market. Like, for example, in May, the 50-day moving average moved from sloping down to sloping up, May 2009. And that told you that this wasn't just a 1 or 2 month rally. This was going to continue longer because the trend of the moving average had changed. Well, what you usually have to see is the market, A, break below that moving average, and B, that moving average begin to turn lower during a major market decline. So after a topping process.
Okay.
For example, that happened in the fourth quarter of 2007, which was right after the market topped and then, of course, headed lower into 2009. And then usually what happens in a bear market is the market can't get above that 150-day moving average, and it keeps sloping lower and lower. And then same thing at a bottom. It bottoms out and then turns higher. So right now, the market is still above the 150-day moving average. It's still sloping upward. So even if we're topping here, and even if the market were to head lower, it's going to take a few months for these things to play out.
Does real estate follow the same patterns that you've established and charted endlessly on other markets? Is real estate similar?
Well, to elaborate on top of that technical top, of course, another side of a top is over-exuberant mass psychology, that people become much, much too bullish on an industry, be it real estate, tech stocks 10 years ago, etc. And one little, the stories, a famous story in 1929 was Joe Kennedy was getting his shoes shined, and the shoe shine boy gave him stock tips. And he just went and sold all his stocks right after that. He said, this is it. Everyone's in. And it's just too crazy. And essentially in the summer of 2005, same thing happened to me. I was in Florida on my way to the Bahamas just before I moved there, and my cab driver, who was a Haitian who barely spoke 2 words of English, was telling me how his, house had doubled, in value, and this house was worth this, and this house was worth that. And then my masseuse was talking about how real estate is great and it's booming. And recently, because I know we're in the Vancouver area here, in Vancouver, this, it's shown in Victoria. I was in Nanaimo speaking at a conference, and I was out with a couple of my subscribers for lunch. And basically, the waitress was talking about some piece of property that she would love to buy if she had the money and blah, blah, blah. And these types of things are psychological indicators of a top. And I know a lot of people in British Columbia, and especially southwestern British Columbia, are worried about the market topping here.
Sure.
And Vancouver is now one of the most, if not the most expensive city in the world.
It is the most expensive place to live in the world, Dave.
Which I love it here and it's beautiful, but I think that's crazy for a city where the sun doesn't shine like 6 months of the year.
Ooh,
no offense or anything.
A shot, no less.
But it's just like an indication of how crazy things have gotten. And again, you look at Vancouver in terms of per capita income or the size of the city in terms of population, it's nowhere near being one of the top cities in the world in terms of those two basic indicators. So it's just a little overwhelming that it would be the most expensive place in the world to live. So I would be very wary here. I'm not a doom and gloomer like a lot of people say in my industry are, but I would definitely not look at real estate here. Now, here's the thing again, we get back to psychology, what happens in the top. In the U.S., there was so much leverage in their markets. Las Vegas, Southern California, Florida.
Florida, yeah.
And a lot of these places, the condos markets fell 50 to 60%. The housing markets fell 30, 40%. But as we were just talking about, in London, which was extremely overvalued, if not as overvalued as these other places in the States, and more expensive, the market only fell 20 to 25% during the bubble burst, despite the fact that debt loads were even bigger in London, a lot of places in the States. So you just don't know how much it's going to drop. I think, you're looking at 25 to 50. It matters how much, we're going to, like how much leverage is in the system, how much speculation's gone on. I think the U.S. had more speculation than what's going on here. So it probably won't fall as much as Vegas or Florida, but it's still going to fall a good deal.
Dave just mentioned bubbles bursting, and that's the worst fear of a lot of people living in Vancouver and area. And we'll pick up on that when we return with Dave Skarica here on the Money and Wealth Show in a moment.
Hi, I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of Gold Ray Resources, Inc. Gold, we all know about gold. It's going to replace the paper currencies that we are currently spending and the government keeps printing. But our emphasis is in China, where we've developed a very nice gold deposit next to a producing mine called the Dai Gold Mine. Currently, we are in discussions with Chinese miners on how to progress this property into a 1,500 to 2,000 ton a day operation. I believe that those discussions will bear fruit here in the next 2 to 3 months. In the meantime, we're also focusing on a new discovery we have of molybdenum here in British Columbia with our joint venture partner, Molycorp Gold Corp. That deposit is very shallow and very high grade and is wide open in all directions. Again, we're focusing on gold, platinum, palladium, and copper in British Columbia as well. But we expect that our first production, or major production, because we've had some production out of China, will be China. Gold Ray trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol GOR. If you'd like more information on the company, visit us at goldray.com or phone us at 604-531-9639.